For me, it's always a feeling of relief, of some satisfaction, but it's also sober because the decisions that we have to make in this kind of environment are difficult, and we take them very seriously. As I said at the end, I really believe that with the work we've done this year and the work we need to do over the next couple of weeks and throughout the end of the session, that we are poised to take our case to the voters in November, and we are turning the corner and beginning a different era here in California. Certainly the era of the interminable late budgets is over, and I believe that if we continue on this path, this era of unending deficits will be over.
But you're turning the corner only if the voters say yes. Sorry to interrupt you.
Well, yes and no. Certainly, because of these trigger cuts, the impact on the actual budget deficit will be the same whether it passes or not. But what's at stake, of course, is not losing billions of dollars of investment in public education and higher education. So everything is at stake. But in terms of the deficit itself, we're well on the back end of this, and hopefully at the end of it.
So what are your expectations for line item vetoes from the governor?
Well, we know that the governor, we know what the Constitution says and what his rights are. We hope that given what we did and given the fact that the reserve is actually several $100 million larger today than it was a week ago Friday when we passed the June 15th budget, that his use of the blue pencil will be minimal. That's our hope. We'll see. That's his,
There was a long debate about Medi-Cal. Some in here, but also in the other house too, or Healthy Families, I should say.
Yes.
Can you talk about why make the switch? As people have said in here, $13, $14, $15 million doesn't seem like a lot in a $93 billion general fund.
Well, it's actually over $70 million on an ongoing basis. It's 13 in the first year. So there are significant ongoing savings. And, again, budgeting to me, especially when you're dealing with deficits, is about making difficult choices. And in the end, as we were negotiating with the governor, we were able to avoid that about $75 million of additional cuts to other areas of health and human services. And even though this is a difficult proposal, if it is done right, it is not a cut. And I believe we have written in sufficient protections to ensure that kids, and it's about kids, are not transferred to a different program unless and until counties are able to prove that they have an adequate network of physicians to be able to cover those kids. And as I pointed out in my floor statement on this issue today, in a number of the counties, there is already significant overlap between the Healthy Families providers and the Medi-Cal providers. So look, this is one, as I said, we have to watch like a hawk. This is one where oversight means everything. And to ensure that this is done, the transfer is actually done deliberatively, that it is done appropriately, and that it is only done when a county can say with certainty that there will be a provider, a real provider, available for a child being transferred. And so it was a difficult choice. Not when the Well, boy, the most difficult part of the process. There's so many, I don't know where to begin. I think in the Senate, as you've known, this is the second straight year where the issue of redevelopment, and that vote has been a challenge. It's been a challenge for me. It's been a challenge for my caucus members. And, both years we've ended up with 21 votes. And, as they always say in sports, right, no one really remembers the final score. They remember the outcome. But these are difficult issues because we respect, obviously, the role and the responsibilities of cities and of counties. And economic development is important. But we made the policy judgment last year that education, higher education, public safety had a higher priority. And we saved $1 billion for redevelopment last year. The city's lawsuit wiped that out. And what this year's bill really was about is implementing the public policy direction we decided upon last year. And yet it was still difficult. I mean, I worked well into the night last night with my members who, had various concerns about it. In the end, we were able to work through them.
Senator, you mentioned that this is poised to help start the tax campaign. Can you talk a little bit more about why this budget will help the campaign for taxes in November?
Well, number one, we made some hard cuts. And we made some hard cuts to people who are most vulnerable. And we made cuts on an ongoing basis, and we're able to demonstrate not only from our own analysis, but the analysis of the Department of Finance, is that the ongoing cuts we make, on top of everything else we've done over the last couple of years, will result in fiscal balance in 2013-14, 14-15, and lead to an actual surplus in 15-16. And so it's not enough. This budget is not enough. We have to get pension reform done. We're gonna take to our floor on Monday a comprehensive foreclosure relief package that will help thousands of California homeowners. We're going to take up high-speed rail, popular, whatever the polls say. I think it is an important long-term vision, and I think we desperately need infrastructure investment in this state and begin creating some construction jobs again. So, and there's more to do. I have my, still top priority education reform bill that would begin to change the nature of high school to make high school curriculum both rigorous and career-oriented, which I think is crucial. So we've got a lot more to do.